Welcome to the Viking Age podcast, the official podcast of the VikingAge.com. We do this every Monday and Thursday night, 6:15 p.m. Central Time, right here on our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do all that cool stuff. Let us know you're in there. We're almost to 300 subscribers. So, hey, let's get us over to the top. Tell your friends. If you cannot make the show, of course, we are podcastable. The show is available the day after we record here on YouTube. That's on Apple and Spotify. So make sure you review, do all those cool things, spread the word. We'd like to have a bigger audience here. But my name is Chris Schad. I am a contributor at thevikingage.com as well as a slew of other websites. Alongside with me, pointing the other direction, is Adam Patrick. He is the managing editor of the Viking Age. And yeah, we are here. So, Adam, this is the time of the off season. We got OTAs going on. We have a lot of talk elsewhere. And, you know, when I was putting together the outline, I didn't really know what to talk about. So, I guess to open up the show, you got any suggestions? I mean, the listeners already know what we're going to talk about because apparently you got a lot of interaction online. But what do you want to talk about today?
Well, first off, you had a little Paul Heyman-esque there with the "My name is Chris Schad." Just wanted to point that out. But then, what's your opinion on the whole Jimbo and Nick Saban thing? Like, do you care that players are getting all these millions of dollars? Because to be honest, I don't care that college players are getting paid; they deserve it.
This is insane. Like, okay, so I think college players should get paid, like at all levels, not just football. I mean, football is the one that generates the most money, yes. But I mean, like, I like how it opened up to everybody. Like, so like softball players can get paid, women's basketball players can get paid. That is awesome to me. And I think, you know, with as much money as the NCAA makes, I think that was something they had to do. Looking at, you know, this situation where Nick Saban's like, well, Jimbo's playing. Don't tell me Alabama doesn't pay their players. That is just crap. And like the thing is, if Alabama doesn't pay their players directly, they're going to get it somewhere else because there are boosters who are connected with companies that will give them money. So there's only one way to settle this. Lock Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban inside Hell in a Cell and let's go. Like I think Matt Waldman
a lot of
he
people
would
would pay to see that. A lot of people would actually pay to see that.
In the South, yes.
Yeah.
The loyal SEC fans would just be like, hey, yeah, check out Jimbo. Jimbo gonna fight Nick Saban in that cage right there. I don't even know why it got a damn roof on it, but yeah, he throw him off that some bitch right there to go flying like mankind. Goddamn. SEC rules. Like I of course, most of the people who watch this show are like Big Ten territory because you know some are Badger fans, some are Gopher fans, you know, Iowa, whatever. But I mean, SEC football is just it's different. It's different in a sleazy good way, and it's just fun to watch from afar. Just like, what's wrong with you people? Holy crap!
Well, you brought up a good point. Like, yeah, it's obvious that Nick Saban like does something, you know, monetarily to entice people to come to Alabama. Like, yes, it's kind of like a pathway to the NFL, but Alabama's not like this destination school. Like, you're not going to USC, you're not hanging out in LA, you're not going to like Florida and Miami and stuff. It's Alabama. Like, what? It's not like this great place to hang out, especially for a lot of people who are on that team. It's just, you know, so yeah, like Nick Saban, all of a sudden this school when he gets there becomes a powerhouse because he's a very good coach and a very good recruiter. Come on, man. We all know how this works. Everywhere Urban Meyer goes, same thing happens where his schools get better, and then you know there's a scandal, and he all of a sudden has to leave. Some excuse like,
oh, my chest, my heart.
This has been going on for a long time. Nick Saban doesn't want to be called out because, first off, he shouldn't have said anything at all. He's the one who started all this by calling out, you know, Jimbo Fisher and Deion Sanders. Who's just like sitting there and like, hey, what did I do? And he's like, we're at Jackson State. Who cares if we're paying our players? It's not like we're gonna take the title away from Alabama. But like,
you
know,
what's gonna happen? Like, So Jordan Addison, who's the top receiver in next year's draft, he was at Pittsburgh and USC was like, hey, we'll give you $2 million to come to USC.
Oh, I
and
saw
he's
that,
like,
yeah.
yep. Like
Yeah.
we're going to be with players the same way we are with coaches right now, because in Minnesota, everybody's like, okay, when is PJ Fleck leaving? Like when is he leaving? Because if he has too much success, big schools are going to come calling and they're going to lure him away. We're going to feel the same way about players now, where if, this will probably never happen because the Gophers don't get good quarterbacks. But I mean, if they get like 2019 Tanner Morgan, where he just went off and set the school record for touchdown passes. Like if somebody does that as like a freshman or a sophomore, like all Gopher fans are gonna be like, all right, he's ours. But like, Nick Saban's gonna come in with a wad of cash. Like, we don't pay our players. Jimbo, the booster over here, does. And he'd be like, hey man, got the Jimbo card dealership. Yeah, you want to watch some cars? Money, you ain't gonna watch no cars. We gonna give you $3 million right here on the spot. Woo! Roll Tide! Yeah.
But you know what? It seems fair to me because coaches have been doing this in college forever. It doesn't matter. Like, they just get up and leave. They don't have a transfer portal. Not that the kids don't anymore. They can just do one. They don't have to sit anymore. But like, coaches have been doing this forever, and now that the fact that players are doing it, now they're mad. Now they're mad because if they do it, it's fine. It doesn't impact an entire program. It's one player. Like, you're the coach, you leave, and then that affects the whole school for multiple years. But if a player leaves, they're the worst. They're the bad person, looking out for themselves,
right?
Which is what they should be doing.
And the players should have this opportunity. It just needs to be regulated. I think there needs to be a cap of how much money a player can make, or how much money a school can make. So that's beyond my. This is a
what's funny though?
Podcast, but I mean, yeah.
What's funny is Dabo Swinney has been completely quiet on this issue because he's said stuff in the past and he's just been like, I'm just gonna step this one out. I let you guys, take the spotlight. I'm just gonna.
Kirby's smart isn't saying anything.
Yeah,
either.
No, he's like, nope. We just won a national championship. I'm good. We're good. Not even Brian Kelly or anything. Like, everyone's just like, you guys, you take the heat. You take the heat. But yeah, let's get to the show, which is here with a very important topic today.
Yes. So like I mentioned, it's May. It's OTAs. We're all bored. Yep. We got 2 months until meaningful football. So let's compare Kirk Cousins to every quarterback in the NFL and fight about it. There is no Fight Club like Kirk Cousins Fight Club. And there's only one rule about Fight Club, or at least Kirk Cousins Fight Club. Everybody talks about Kirk Cousins Fight Club because it is a lifestyle. It is, Kimbo Slice, fighting in a back alley has nothing on Kirk Cousins Fight Club, because you got the loyal supporters of Kirk in one corner. You got, the loyal antagonists, and it's like Jets and Sharks just going one-on-one without the dancing and stuff. Because I've never seen West Side. I fell asleep. They showed it in school.
If you need engagement,
I just fell asleep. Yeah, but
if you need engagement on Twitter, just post, is Kirk Cousins a top 10 quarterback? Then you'll get mentions for days. Just days.
So why are we talking about this? Well, Chris Sims started it. Let's throw it on Chris Sims, the Kellen Mond stan himself. He is releasing his top 40 quarterbacks ahead of the 2022 season because engagements, conversation, all that stuff.
It's May.
Yeah. So it's May. Again, that you're going to sense a common theme with this episode. It's May. That sparked a debate, and he's releasing his listed top 40 in slow drip water torture fashion. So we have the bottom 10 right now, which is Drew Lock, Kenny Pickett, Teddy Bridgewater, who's 38, 37 Gardner Minshew, 36 Tyrod Taylor, 35 Davis Mills, 34 Tyler Huntley, 33 Geno Smith, 32 Sam Darnold, and 31 Trey Lance. This falls into the category of almost who cares, but do you have any objections with his top 10, or it seems fair to you, right?
I mean, Teddy is really low on this.
Yeah.
Like Tyrod Taylor is better than Teddy, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, like even Tyler Huntley better than Teddy. Like, how is Sam Darnold the guy? The Panthers won 5 games last year with Sam Darnold as their quarterback. They won 7 the year before with Teddy Bridgewater. How is he above Teddy Bridgewater on this list? I don't mind Trey Lance in there. I don't mind Davis Mills in there. Drew Lock should be at the bottom if he's even in this at all. Kenny Pickett's just random. Gardner Minshew, who knows? But yeah, come on, put some respect on Teddy's name. I know it's the bottom 10, but like this guy, yes, he's not the flashiest quarterback. He's not going to give you, he's not going to throw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns every week, but he's consistent. You know where you're getting out of him, and his teams are able to build around him, and he, tends to not screw things up. So I think Teddy should be much higher, probably. Let's see, probably more around 34, 33.
Maybe 30-ish. I would put him 30. I mean, better than Sam Darnold. I would put him ahead of that. Trey Lance is low because
We just don't know.
Chris Sims said something, but we just don't know. Geno Smith, Teddy's better than Geno. Yeah. Tyler Huntley, people just love that game against the Packers. Just like, look at him, he's so good. Like somebody's gonna trade like a day 2 draft pick for him and be like, oh my god, he's not a starter. Well, yeah, no duh. Davis Mills, I don't know. Tyrod Taylor.
No.
Gardner Minshew, 37. I mean, I would put him ahead of some of these guys. I mean, just I don't know. Yeah, the stash. I mean, when your quarterback looks like they could throw a game-winning touchdown at 3 and headline the Olmsted County Fair at 9, that's a hell of a.
If he was in college right now, he would definitely get an NIL deal for a cigarette company.
The new Marlboro man, Gardner Minshew.
Yeah,
I don't know. Quinn Ewers. He's close. I don't know if you've seen him, but he's got the
beef jerky.
He's got the mullet going on. Yeah. Not a beef jerky. Check him out. He's got the old Morgan Wallen, Travis Tritt mullet going on right now.
Okay.
Shannon Sharp got into this discussion because again, it's May. Because he saw a tweet from Ron Johnson of Locked On Minnesota, and he challenged Twitter. Yes, were they teammates in the pros? Oh, Ravens. Baltimore. Yeah. I was thinking Gophers. I'm like, Shannon Sharp didn't play for the Gophers. I think I remember that. Just like, what?
Yeah.
I know you're in California,
didn't know.
Man, but I mean, no.
You didn't know? Yeah.
Ran right past him. I loved Ron Johnson with the Gophers, by the way. He caught that game-winning touchdown, the horseshoe. I think it was 2002, I think. But, aside from that, he challenged Twitter to name 10 quarterbacks better than Kirk Cousins. That's where this whole thing started. And Shannon Sharp jumped right on Twitter and just did it, rapid fire. Tom Brady, Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray. That enough, which means I think he could have named more, but he didn't. So, sure. Is Kirk better than any of these quarterbacks he listed?
No.
Fair
I
enough.
mean, you could maybe you could debate Deshaun Watson just because he's in a new setting and he hasn't played in a while, but that'd be a tough. If you're betting money on that, I wouldn't bet money on that. But no, not these quarterbacks. I just have a question for you. Who does Ron Johnson do work for some of the time during the football season? Who does he do work for?
Oh, that would be a certain Minneapolis radio station.
Who, not even that. Vikings.com.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's
not going to go on there and be like, yeah, this guy sucks. No.
So, you have to take that into account too when, they're posting these things like there aren't 10 quarterbacks, and it's like, you have to have this certain optimism or whatever to work for a team site because they can say whatever they want. No one's going to, argue against them because they want the team to look as good as possible. So I think that has to be taken into account in this. But you look at the quarterbacks that Shannon Sharp listed, and I think you were going to ask, what would Kirk Cousins have to do to be better than one of these quarterbacks? And the quarterbacks that were listed, their teams improve. Like, they either are playing at a high level already with these quarterbacks, or their teams have improved year over year with quarterbacks. I know later we're going to talk about like Kyler Murray or even Lamar Jackson. But like Kyler Murray's teams have improved their win total every single year. The Ravens got much better when Lamar Jackson got there. The Bucks were much better when Tom Brady arrived. Obviously, the Rams won a Super Bowl when Matthew Stafford got there. The Bengals got way better when Joe Burrow arrived. What has happened to the Vikings since Kirk Cousins arrived? They've flatlined. Like they were at the height. They were in the NFC Championship, and he came along, and now they're just mediocre. And I think if he wants to be considered, or I don't think he cares. He's getting paid. He doesn't care where people think he is. But like, if people are going to consider him to be a top 10 quarterback, like definitive top 10 quarterback, his teams have to perform better. And people are going to be like, "Oh, the defense is terrible. The offensive line is terrible. Blah 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 blah." But like, all these quarterbacks deal with that. Like in the NFL, Kyler Murray, he didn't have DeAndre Hopkins for like half the season last year, which is basically why they struggled. Take Justin Jefferson away from Kirk Cousins. See how well he plays, because it's not going to be good. Um, but yeah, they just have to be more consistent. They have to show improvement. And I think if Kirk Cousins goes out and they win 11 games next season and they win 13 games the next season, I think the opinion will start to change about Kirk Cousins. And people don't like to hear about wins when it comes to quarterbacks, but these guys have the football for more than in their hands for more than half the game, so they have the biggest impact. That's why people like to measure wins and losses when it comes to quarterbacks. So right now, Kirk is not better than any of the 10 quarterbacks that Shannon Sharp listed.
I would agree with you. I think you could make a case maybe that Kirk could be in the top 10 because we hear it all the time. 3 out of 4 years, Minnesota, he's had 4,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. 3 of the 4 years, he's finished in Pro Football Focus's top 10 of quarterback grades. The eye test a lot of times when he makes good throws, he's definitely capable. He's a very accurate quarterback. He's got a great arm. When he's got time to do everything, he's able to make plays.
Sorry, I'm laughing because you said accurate, and that is the thing that everybody brings up when they talk about him. Like the first thing, like he is an accurate quarterback, and I'm like, so is Sam Bradford. I don't care how accurate you are. Like you got to make plays too. Who cares if you can complete a pass? I don't care. But like it's so funny when Kevin O'Connell or somebody talks about him. It's like he's very accurate, and I'm like, oh, that's the first thing you're leading with, that he's accurate. Like, come on. But yeah, I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go ahead.
Hey, it wasn't the first thing I mentioned. At least I mentioned his
Right.
stats.
No,
I was
right.
like, I'm representing the Kirk stands right now because this is what they'll tell you, and they'll tell you a lot of the things that went wrong for Kirk. He had a quarterback he had a coach that wanted him to throw him in a dumpster and lock him and throw away the key. He had a defense that was a sieve and had eroded since his time in Minnesota. Let's not mention that he had an offensive scheme that catered to him and gave him a lot of his success, with the exception of John DeFilippo, who was brought in to make Kirk Cousins better, by the way. And that just backfired because John DeFilippo is not a good football coach. So there is that. Like the Vikings have tried to make Kirk Cousins better. It just hasn't panned out. And by the way, here's the kicker. 3 out of the 4 years, the Vikings have missed the playoffs with Kirk Cousins. I don't know. But like our cover art said, and got everybody in a, rage, tizzy. Kyler Murray is on this tizzy. There you go. Kyler Murray is on this list. And, some people said on Twitter, they're like, oh, Kirk Cousins is better than Kyler Murray. And that's an interesting debate for me. So I'll ask you, is Kirk Cousins better than Kyler Murray? What do you think?
I told you some stuff already about like DeAndre Hopkins being out and everything and all that fun stuff. But I'll keep it real simple, and this should maybe help people understand why I think Kyler Murray is a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. Put Kyler Murray on the Vikings and put Kirk Cousins on the Cardinals. Which team has more wins and which offense is better? And I think the answer is very obvious. Murray would make the Vikings a Super Bowl contender. Kirk Cousins would be right where he is right now. They'd just be an average team. And that's really all that needs to be debated. Like, sorry if Kyler Murray runs too much for some people or whatever, or he struggles at times. He's in year 3, and the Cardinals have improved their win total every season. He's been to the playoffs as many times as Kirk Cousins in the last 3 years. And we talk about how some people mention Kirk has less interceptions than Kyler Murray in the last 3 years, but Kirk also has more fumbles than Kyler Murray. Kirk has had 31 fumbles in the last 3 years, and Kyler's had only 27. So like, but I'll come back to it. Like, you put Kyler Murray on the Vikings, they're a Super Bowl contender. You put Kirk Cousins on the Cardinals, they're they're average. So that's my debate.
Yeah, they are different types of quarterbacks, right?
Oh yeah.
So you have Kirk Cousins, who's pocket passer, can dissect the defense, has the big arm, can, like I said, he's accurate. There you go. You could probably turn it into a drinking game if you want to. Anytime somebody says Kirk Cousins is accurate, drink.
You're gonna end up in the hospital.
Yeah, it's not going to end well for you, especially at the end of this episode. Like, it's like the kids, they'll put, what is it, on their phones? They'll have left hand Kyler, right hand Kirk, like, and then they'll go right or left. Is that's what they're showing them, right? They're like, I don't know, right hand Kirk, right hand Kirk. That is what they're saying, right?
Oh yeah, that's always what they're shouting. Yeah, that's always what.
Yeah, Kirk or Kyler, dude. Yeah. I played in Miami. Like, what's going on here? But I mean, what do you value in a quarterback? Like, if you're a guy who just wants a big arm that could throw it down the field, Kirk's probably your guy here. If you want a guy that can evade or rush, create something on his own, Paul Hudawanik, a Purple Insider, was on Matthew Collard's podcast a couple days ago, and he said, like, the Arizona Cardinals offense is basically Clint Kingsbury going, Kyler, do stuff. Like, go run around, go make plays. There's no organization to it. What if you had Kyler Murray in this offense where there is structure and everything? I mean, the offense for Kirk Cousins is basically like IKEA instructions. Like, you're going to take exactly 3 steps back. If you take 2.5, you're screwed. If you take 3.5, you're screwed. Then you're going to look, and there's going to be a guy wide open, and just throw it to him. I don't care if Deion Jones is right there. Just try and impale him and throw an interception. But I mean, hey, you did your job. Your check's going to clear. I think when we look at these two quarterbacks, one of the similar things is their lack of success as the season goes along, though, because, we joke about it, Kirktober, right? Where he's just red hot. He can't miss during the months of October and early November. But once the games start to matter, once they start to become more important, and yeah, you can mention the New Orleans game. That's fine. Mike Zimmer tried to hide him in the fourth quarter of that game. They ran Dalvin Cook so much. And they're like, oh my God, New Orleans came back. And then, yes, Kyle Rudolph pushed off on 3rd or 4th down or whatever it was. Like, don't kid yourself. No. Kyle Rudolph pushed off. And I mean, I'm not saying it for Saints fans. I'm saying it for everybody. Just like, Kirk made 2 big throws in that game. Yeah, okay. The second one should have been a penalty. Sorry. But
so did Drew Pearson.
Mean, yeah. Guess we're even. I mean, it's just, yeah. I mean, when you look at that, neither of these quarterbacks have had sustained playoff success. So
what's the big difference?
When you look at it, they're pretty even. Kyler can make a playoff structure.
Well, I'm just saying, in age too. Like, Kyler's in, he's going into his 4th year. Kirk is going into his 11th. Like,
there's a greater chance that Kyler improves in 2 years than Kirk improves.
And I think the debate right now, is that, or that it's about right now. That's what people are debating, which still isn't a debate, I feel like. And you talked about late season, collapse or whatever, or struggles. I think with the Cardinals, and people are gonna be like, oh, you could say this about Kirk and Mike Zimmer, but you look at Cliff Kingsbury, he has a history of struggling in the second half of seasons, dating all the way back to his time at Texas Tech in college, where Kyler Murray, before he got to the Cardinals, he was very good with Oklahoma. I think he won the Heisman, so he had to be good for the entire year to do that. So I'm not going to put all that on the late season struggles all on Kyler Murray's shoulders, where with Kirk Cousins, I feel like, a lot of the Viking struggles over the years do come back to him. And because we can look at the Vikings before Kirk Cousins and they were successful. But when he got there, they ran into some more problems, and that as there's a bunch of factors that go into that. But I think with Kyler, and I mentioned, you know, DeAndre Hopkins was out for basically half the season last year. If you take away Justin Jefferson from Kirk Cousins, he
It's over.
is it's
It's over.
over. Look,
You,
just go
Adam
go over
Thielen missed 4 games and he imploded.
just go
Like Adam
go to the first.
Thielen just
Yeah.
destroyed his ankle and he was lost without him. He's like, "Where's Adam Thielen? I don't know. Adam
Do you
Thielen's
remember
in the
that
IKEA instructions. It says right here."
do you remember that Colts game in 2020, week 2? Justin Jefferson was not a starter
Yep.
yet. Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins went 9 for 25. He had a 15.0 passer rating.
Oh my.
That's not, it's not gonna be that bad, but he's not gonna be putting up the numbers that he puts up now with people say that Justin Jefferson has benefited from Kirk Cousins. Sure, but Kirk Cousins has benefited way more from having Justin Jefferson on the field than the other way around. So, you know, the Cardinals have to figure out a way to do better with, someone like Hopkins being out, which he's gonna be out for the first 6 games next year, so we'll get to see that immediately. But they went out and traded for somebody like Marquise Brown to help Kyler Murray. They traded for Zach Ertz, and they're adding all these weapons to try and help. And the Vikings have done that over the years. They've added weapons. They added Justin Jefferson. They keep Thielen. They had Diggs in the past. They drafted Irv Smith. They drafted Alexander Madison. They're giving him weapons, and nothing's really changed. So no. Kirk Cousins is not better than Kyler Murray. It's not. It's not even a debate to me. I don't. I just think it's obvious. Is it obvious to you, or can you hear a case maybe?
I can hear a case.
Okay.
I can hear a case about Kirk. I mean, I look at it as, are we talking about arm talent and his ability to make big throws? Or are we talking about the ability to evade and create and everything else? Both quarterbacks, I think, are very similar as in terms of success, team success. I would rather have Kyler Murray, especially with this team, especially with a cheaper rookie deal. Although I think Kyler's pushing for a little,
he's getting paid. He's getting paid this
here.
summer. He's getting paid this summer.
Yeah, and don't kid yourself. They're not going to go and trade Kyler. He's going to get He's going to get the bag. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
And he deserves it.
So, yeah. So here's what I did. And, everybody's talking about their top quarterbacks or whatever. I said, let's make top 10 quarterback lists. And I'll go through mine, and then you can show yours, and we'll talk about it. And I think, it's what's funny about the Shannon Sharp tweet is I basically have the same names. And I did not include Deshaun Watson because we just don't know. But then again, like you mentioned, I mean, Michael Vick was in jail for 2 years? And then he came back and he was the best version of Michael Vick we've ever seen.
It took him a year. It took him a year to get back.
Yeah, and then he got in for
because he was a backup for Kevin Cobb.
Kevin Cobb.
What a name! What a terrible. Why was that's
that is a that's a name drop right there.
A lot of people wasted money on that dude. Sorry, man, but
a lot of people drafted him on their fantasy teams and were like, "This guy is going to be QB1." No, he's not. No. My top 10. Number 1, I'll go 1 down to 10 because we're talking. This is a Viking show.
We're curious about the back end. Right.
Number 1, Patrick Mahomes. Number 2, Josh Allen. Number 3, Justin Herbert. Number 4, Joe Burrow. So I value youth a little bit more. In my list. Number 5, Aaron Rodgers. Number 6, Tom Brady. Number 7, Russell Wilson. Number 8, Lamar Jackson. Number 9, Matthew Stafford. And this is tough, number 10, Kirk Cousins. But again, Deshaun Watson, if he's a fraction of how good he was in Houston, Kirk gets bumped out of the top 10. There's no Kyler Murray in this list. There's no whatever. I mean, Lamar Jackson's the only quarterback different. And I mean, you could make a case he's outside. There's a tier, right? From 8 to 12 where could kind of mix and match.
So you have Kirk Cousins over Kyler Murray.
I do. It's not by a mile. Like I would say it's like 10A and 10B, but I don't know. I like the arm talent Kurt has. And I mean,
Kyler's got a cannon on his arm
does
too. And he's more
does.
you know what, you want to talk about accuracy. Kyler was more accurate than Kirk Cousins last year. I'm just gonna put that out there.
It's not like I think Kyler's like a mile away from him.
No, I know.
Like I'm just saying. But I also agree with you. I think that if you put Kyler on the Vikings, he erupts. Like the Viking offense goes to another stratosphere with Kyle Murray.
Same thing with Lamar Jackson, right?
It's tough. It's not easy. Yeah, Lamar Jackson too. I mean, I have Lamar above Kirk, so maybe I should have him above Kyler, above those guys. Like I said, it's like 1A or 8A, 8B, 8C, and 8D. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. All right, mine.
I feel attacked, by the way.
No, you're good. You're good. One, I've got Patrick Mahomes too. He's my one. I think like he struggled last year, but whatever. He's still ridiculous.
Struggled. That's the best part.
Yeah.
It's like,
what do you have? Like, 35 touchdowns? Struggled.
Yeah. Kirk Cousins struggles. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, he struggled and threw for 4,800 yards and 37 touchdowns. Yeah, he struggled. Which would be like the best Viking season ever by any quarterback. Two, I've got Tom Brady. Okay,
sure.
Like the impact that he has on an entire team is like ridiculous. He led the league in passing yards and touchdowns last year at the age of 44. So like he's still playing at a very high level. I think he'll probably miss Chris Godwin's got the ACL tear, so he won't be back right away. So probably miss him a little bit, but it's Tom Brady. Like he's gonna do whatever he thinks his team is capable of, and not anything more or anything less. So I like him at 2. I got Aaron Rodgers at 3, back-to-back MVPs. I think that's it's kind of hard to argue with that. I got Josh Allen at 4. He played really well last year. And I think he's still on the way up. I'm curious to see how he does, though, with Brian Dable not there. I think that could be a bigger factor than some of us think. I got Joe Burrow at number 5. Obviously, helped lead the Bengals to the Super Bowl. No one saw that coming. I got Justin Herbert at 6. Kyler Murray at 7. Russell Wilson at 8. I think he got hurt last year, and what did the Seahawks even have on their roster? Like nobody. Lamar Jackson at 9, and I've got Matthew Stafford at 10. Now I did expand it a little bit. I have Derek Carr at 11, and number 12. It's just debatable to me between Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Watson, Dak Prescott, Jalen Hurts, and even Jimmy Garoppolo. Like I weigh like impact. Like I feel like a lot of people sometimes look at this debate as like it's purely stats, and if you want to do that, fine, then have a fantasy discussion. But I think with some of these, you have to take into account their impact on like the team's actual success. And I just think the quarterbacks above Kirk Cousins on this list are better at getting their team to be more successful. All of these quarterbacks have had an impact on their team getting better. And I think Russell Wilson will do the same thing for the Broncos next season. It's he's already had like a really good impression on them so far, so I think that'll carry over. But yeah, I'm not. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just look at it. Brett Favre came aboard in 2009.
Yeah,
like how night and day. It was like, all right, we got T-Jack, and then Brett Favre came in, and it was like a presence.
It
was
the vibe,
yeah. I like what you're saying here with a quarterback that comes in, because like Joe Burrow. Let's throw him out there. Like the thing I love about Joe Burrow is like the vibe he gives off. Like you're ready to run through a wall for Joe Burrow. Like Kirk, I mean, the Rams game. Look at the Rams game as a big example. Everybody walked into that game, just like, yeah, whatever. They had a chance to go to the playoffs. They had a chance to like put themselves in the driver's seat, and like everybody was just like, yeah, screw this. And Justin Jefferson's like, what's everybody's problem here? And then they go out and they get smoked. I mean, Kirk put up good stats because he had a couple of Garbo drives mixed in there, but I mean, he goes to the podium and like he doesn't make it easy on himself, for people to really gravitate toward him. And like when he does, it comes off as awkward, the whole swagger comment that everybody took and ran with, like after the Seattle game last year. Like it never feels like I never sit there watching a game and be like, oh dude, we got this. We got Kirk Cousins. Or like, Bengals fans be like Joe Burrow. I'm not going to say his nickname because I hate it. Like who on earth? Joey Burr. Oh, okay, man.
Like, he's got the ice. That's why. He's got the ice around his
Joey
neck.
the Tiger. Yeah, like that's a better nickname.
He's got the chain around his neck. That's why.
Got the ice. You cannot hate Joe Burrow. It is impossible.
No.
Like as far as charisma goes, Burrow is number one by a mile. Maybe you go Patrick Mahomes, but
I think Urban Meyer should have been fired last year just because he let Joe Burrow get away. Like, how do you even let that happen? Like, that's got to be one of the biggest mistakes anyone's made in like college. And they'll be like, oh, he didn't fit the system or whatever. We had Justin Fields. It's like, this dude left for 1 year and won a national championship, and he helped the team get to the Super Bowl in 3 years. 2 years. 3 years. Because he tore his ACL or whatever the first year.
I'm not knocking it, but I mean, that collection at LSU was just so insane too.
Oh,
Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was an elite college player. And then everybody kind of, the defense was Thad Moss at tight end. Like that whole LSU team. I mean, no, Thad Moss was like,
it was decent,
that whole LSU team was a vibe, as the kids say. Like they were just, it's like the Georgia defense, like watching Georgia's defense. You're just like, damn, like, LSU was the same way. They just had it. Like Kirk Cousins doesn't have it.
And people hate when you say that. Like they're like, "What's it? What's it?" He throws for all these good numbers. And it's like you can just tell. You can sit there and watch. Like you can see people in the huddle, like, or even on the sidelines, just like you can tell, like when Stephon Diggs goes from the Vikings to the Bills, and he is just like so much more enthusiastic and happier. Like he's a guy that smiles all the time, but you could tell towards the end there in Minnesota, like he was definitely faking it whenever he was smiling because he was winking at everybody to let them know. But like you could tell that he was not in a good place during his final time in Minnesota. He gets to Buffalo. He's like with his kid Josh Allen. He's like, oh, like this is gonna be like he's having fun. Like all these guys have fun, and I feel like Kirk Cousins, either he puts too much pressure on himself or just like he's just so afraid to fail that he can't have fun. And when he does have fun, when like he has a game against the Packers, he's like, no, I can't do that. I made too many mistakes. And that's the thing about these quarterbacks too. They're not afraid to make mistakes. Like Matthew Stafford, he throws a no-look pass in the middle of the Super Bowl. Like who's going to do that? And I think Matthew Stafford led the league in like interceptions. And who cares? Because they won the Super Bowl. Like, these guys take risks, and if they throw an interception, they go out on the next drive. It doesn't bother them. Kirk Cousins throws an interception, it bothers him for like 3 weeks. So like, I don't know, man. He doesn't have it. I'm sorry, he can put up the numbers, but he doesn't have it, and that's why the Vikings they have to find a way. The Rams got to the Super Bowl with Jared Goff, and I feel like the Vikings if they're gonna get that far, they have to have a similar situation where Goff is not the focal point, or not Goff, obviously, where Cousins is not the focal point of the offense. It's got to be Justin Jefferson. It's got to be Dalvin Cook. It's got to be other people. It cannot be all Kirk Cousins. So we'll see.
Brett Favre was the king of that, by the way. Just chuck an interception and be like, all right, boys, let's go back out there.
Yeah, maybe don't do that in the NFC Championship, though, when you're driving to score the game-winning field goal. Maybe don't do that.
That is suggested. So
this isn't Detroit.
This isn't Detroit, man. This isn't Detroit. My story, I'll say it quickly because, again, it's May. 2009 NFC Championship game. I was at a bar in River Falls, Wisconsin.
You?
Good old
You're at a bar?
UWRF. Go Falcons.
right.
And I was there, and I remember I was probably pushing 3 bills at the time. I was on my knees, and I'm just like, we're going to the Super Bowl.
Huh?
And, you know, it was foreshadowing 2017, but that's another story. So they're driving, and I'm like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. And he throws the interceptions, and I am face down on the bar floor. And he's like, you're going to catch something. Get up, get up. And I'm like, I am dead inside. Just let it take over my body. Just, that's enough. So to finish off this show, I just want to have a simple PSA, because honestly, we need to have a talk as Vikings fans, as football fans, as everything. I am fed up, and I promise this will not be as intense as the Thielen rant, because by my own admission, that was just kind of weird, right? They have told me my Minnesotan card has been revoked. I'm like, yeah, but did you know Adam Thielen sold dentist equipment before he tried out? And they're like, no, you can have it back. Like, thank you. We did not know this. So it was very thing, but we need to stop this. Okay. This needs to end, because again, like I've said all show, it's May. And if we do this for a whole year, I am going to lose my freaking mind. So like Kirk Cousins re-signs with the Vikings. And like in hindsight, it was probably the right move, because the NFL did not like this rookie quarterback class, right? The Vikings probably didn't have the ammo or cap space to go make a trade for like Russell Wilson or any of those guys. So, I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. The biggest problem that I had with this signing is that we had to do at least 1, maybe 2 more years of this internal debate. Whether is Kirk Cousins good? Kirk Cousins stats, blah. Kirk Cousins line up in the guard, blah, enough. Stop it. He's so freaking frustrating, because when it comes to throwing a football, like I mentioned, he's a top 10 quarterback. He's in my top 10. I barely put him ahead of Kyler Murray, and I'm already backtracking about it because I'm like, I don't know. Like, he's so hard to figure out. Matthew Collar called him a Rubik's Cube, and it's accurate. His flaws are simply mental blocks, performances in big games, locking in on his first read, trying to impale linebackers, and his personality just does not make things easier. He is like a quarterback Ken doll. He's like Barbie's boyfriend. He makes his meat. He is the worst barbecue guy in the world. He grills steaks with no marbling. That shouldn't matter, but I mean, then you have the COVID stuff, and it's just like, he is a quarterback that has his strengths and has his weaknesses, which every quarterback in the league has. So, like, because he's this wet towel of a personality, we're looking at every single flaw and comparing him to quarterbacks, and it's in May. And like, if it's in the middle of the season and Kirk Cousins lines up behind Brian O'Neill or something, fire away. Like, go for it, right? I'll be on that. I'll go to town. But it's May. It's exhausting. And then people are like, oh, well, what are you going to talk about? There are so many things to talk about with this team other than Kirk Cousins. Like, you could talk, like we did it last week. We talked about Dalvin Cook, right? We talk about him being used as a receiver. We have a brand new defense, a brand new coaching staff, a head coach that some people think is some wonderkind. I don't know if it'll work. Who cares? It's exciting. It's interesting. It's better than Mike Zimmer coming out there and grumbling at reporters and challenging them to fight behind the scenes. Like, you have a safety that's an absolute freak that they just drafted. You have one of the best young receivers in the history of football on your team. And yet you want to sit there and try and debate that, well, Kirk Cousins, when he has mac and cheese before a game, he is the best quarterback ever to play. Stop it. Get help. I swear to God, I am going to lose my mind. I might have already lost my mind. Like, seriously, am I insane? Like, am I... Talk me off the ledge.
No,
I think I'm right. I think I'm right.
You are right. Take a deep breath. But yeah, like, there's no reason we gotta stop. Like, yeah, like you said, it's May. Have these discussions when Kirk signs his extension. Fine, have those discussions then. But yeah, I keep seeing every day. I'm like, I open Twitter or whatever. I'm like, please, please don't be a tweet out there that's like, is Kirk Cousins a top 10 quarterback? And I'm like,
He is trending
no.
he is trending every day. It will not stop. It will
And
not
everyone,
stop. There is no end.
and it's always the same people in the comments and mentions, like defending or not defending. And I'm like, at this point, like, I think people just don't want Kirk Cousins on the Vikings just so they don't have to debate him every single offseason because it's like it's exhausting.
Me. I am that
Yeah,
guy.
yeah.
Me.
Like, yeah,
And you could do worse. You could do worse than Kirk Cousins. Like, not to cut you off again. You could do worse.
no.
I will totally admit
Oh yeah.
that. Like, we could have Sam Darnold on this team. We could have Teddy Bridgewater on this team. Although I love Teddy, I'll
Yeah.
fight. I'll defend him to the bloody end. But I mean,
Well,
come on, Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback than Teddy Bridgewater.
and
Maybe
all this is
leadership,
going.
we could talk
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah,
that. But I mean,
yeah, yeah. That all this going on too is happening when what the Wild are in the playoffs, the Timberwolves are in the playoffs, the Twin season is still going on. So it's not like people in Minnesota have like nothing. I know those teams just got out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I was
But
about to
like,
say, way to
I said were,
fresh there.
I said
Yeah,
were. Sorry. Yeah, sorry to too soon, obviously. But like in Minnesota specifically, there's plenty of stuff that you could talk about that has nothing to do with Kirk Cousins, and like you should talk about it because, it's our job to cover the Vikings every week, every day, or whatever. Like if it wasn't my job, I would be like taking a break right now, like from football. I think people should start doing that. Like take a little breather, take a month off, come back into it, and you'll have like clear mind, a different perspective, maybe better understanding. You won't get so frustrated when someone tweets out like the letters KC. You'll be like, no. It's just like it's a barbecue sauce commercial. It has nothing to do with Kirk Cousins. It's just it's just barbecue sauce. But yeah, like come on, guys. It's May. It's gonna be June soon, and I feel like that's usually when the NFL releases like their top 100 players, and this is gonna start all over again. And I don't know. The season even just training camp just needs to get here as soon as possible.
you would not know this living in California, but we only have like 1 week of like enjoyable summer left because like after Memorial Day, all the mosquitoes come out, and like for me, like bees are my big bugaboo. So like I start sprinting away in random situations. I'm probably gonna like get ran over by a car someday, I think, in a parking lot. But let's do it this way. Find your joy. And I'm quoting Luke Braun here. But I mean, if you think Kirk sucks and needs to be shot into the sun, that's okay. If you think Kirk is the greatest quarterback ever and deserves a lifetime contract with the Vikings, I don't agree, but that's fine.
I think we know who that is. I think so.
But to sit there and tear people down and talk about the same...
rhymes with mimosa.
I could go for one of those right now,
Oh.
even though it's like at night. But to sit there and tear people down and talk about the same things and just, no, where does he rank? Where does he do this? Like,
you don't know football
at this point. He's a quarterback at this point. It's like, if he goes out there and sucks, then we can have this whole, all right, now you had the best situation of his career, elite receivers, elite running back. Actually, they'll probably be like, well, Dalvin was 27 and they really shouldn't have kept him. Like, but I mean, Kevin O'Connell is going to construct the ultimate offense for him to succeed. And it's just like, okay. Like, I just...
Listen.
Okay.
We should all agree to disagree. The world would be really boring if everyone agreed. That doesn't mean to like go after people and be malicious and stuff, but like we all got different opinions, and it's not the end of the world if someone doesn't agree with you. So that's really just my final statement on all this. It's okay to disagree.
Kirk peace. That's all we want.
Yeah, this is it.
But okay.
We just ended it all. It's over. It's like Vince Carter. It's over. It's over.
The space debating Kirk Cousins and Lamar Jackson right now is just going to dissolve like Thanos. Just snap my fingers.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah. Gone.
Reality shall be what I want it to be. Well, on that note, That is all the time we have for the Viking Age podcast tonight. We're here every Monday and Thursday night, not ranting like I just did, right here at 6:15 on the Viking Age YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell, do everything you can on YouTube. We're almost to 300 subscribers. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell everybody. Let's keep this thing rolling because we're having a good time, as you can tell. So for Adam Patrick, I am Chris Schad signing off, and we'll talk to you on Thursday night.